Hi folks, I'm just up here near the pollinator patch, and look what I've had to do to try and deter the 3 swamp wallabies. These pots have got dahlias, snapdragon, straw flowers in them which grown from seed. I don't know whether they're in the shadow or not, but I had them in another area, but we have literally gone through 3 water tanks of water over the summer, so I had to bring them down closer to a mains water tap rather than me running up and down like an idiot and killing myself bringing up watering cans of water. The trouble is, when I brought them down here, even though I put these little guards in front, the swamp wallabies have had a field day, and I've had to put, look, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you can see, but I've literally had to put sticks all around the area trying to stop them going in to this bed, which isn't fenced, and they literally ate all the lilium leaves. The lilium leaves flower. The liliums themselves had finished flowering, but of course you're supposed to let the leaves and the stalks die off so they feed the next year's flowers. But the little terrors literally ate all the leaves. They even got over to one of my crepe myrtles, which in the pot, which I wasn't impressed with. But I've put these bamboo stakes everywhere, just trying to fend them off. But what I'm doing with this bed now, I'm not even going to try and grow. I did have the jute netting over it last season, which worked all right, but some of the plants did get tangled in it. And I'm not expecting to be here, so what I'm going to do this year, I've already put 4 lavender plants in. The wallabies don't like lavender, so I'm just going to fill this bed with lavender of various types when they're available, and hopefully that will prevent them getting in here, but the lavender will feed the bees and pollinators anyway. But ridiculous what I've had to do to try and keep these terrors off. The original swampy wasn't, I thought he was bad, nothing like the 2 new ones. They're running rampant through the place. But anyway, I'll just come down around here. I'm walking on the outside of the pollinator patch. And again, look at all these are old tomato stakes that were left behind by the previous owner. And I've had to put these all through that, plus one of these, a couple of these, I don't know what you'd call them, trellising metal, to try and keep them off. But even though this is a fairly tall raised bed, I literally would come round and see them sitting in the middle of it, having a lovely time. But hopefully, I've got all the lavender on the outside again. They've been trimmed, but I've got in there cornflowers and snapdragons for the moment. And I have a Jude the Obscure Rose, but that got eaten by something. I'm not sure if it were birds as well came in, but honestly, I love my wildlife, but my goodness me, they wreak havoc. Anyway, I've tidied up my compost bins. I was under strict orders to do so, as I must admit it was looking terrible, but anyway, I can sit there and rot down. And again, I've just put this new, I had 1 spur jute netting, so I've just strung that over this bed. Again, the wallabies tended to jump up onto the compost, then jump over here, and you'd come out and they were looking at you as if, well, what do you want? Honestly, drive you nuts. But I'll just go in to the pollinator patch. I did a bit of a tidy up. I know you shouldn't have, but it was getting crazy. But I couldn't get through to anywhere. So course I've got all my potted roses in here, which are doing very well. And these are pots of single dahlias, again grown from seed. I had no space for them, so I popped them into big pots, as I did the Rebecca as well. So, as I said, this is just a mishmash of stuff. And I've got the sedum autumn joy, which was full of pollinators a little while ago, but they seem to have disappeared. Well, there's a few in here. I don't know if you can see them or not, but there are a few. And, I've got a salvia, and this is a perennial basil. And I did put some of the pollinator-free little sunflowers, which I intended to use as cut flowers, but I've ended up just leaving them in. And I'm going to try very hard not to overplant this time. I lost so much stuff because I was too impatient, and I threw everything around. And of course, most things got smothered. Obviously, we don't cut the verbena back yet, still full of feed and seeds as well. And, back to the sedum autumn joy. I've got a rose here which I can't remember which it is. Anyway, it is certainly looking tidier than it was, although I tried not to be too tidy. But it had reached the stage where I literally couldn't get through. I tidied up this area, but there's foxgloves, dahlias, there's a rose in here, and I've just put in an artichoke. You can see it, but there's a few little things that'll probably turn up. This is yarrow cloth of gold, again from seed, next to the autumn joy sedum. I think the pollinators are all down this end. The looks of it, masses of them on this one. But thankfully this area is fenced, or I would have nothing left. Anyway, I'll just walk under here, and this is a lady of Charlotte Rose, and I've got jasmine growing up the side. As I said, nothing very exciting, but hopefully better things are to come in spring if I'm still here. And as I said, I'm going to have to try very hard and not overplant. Just can't help myself. And I've got such limited space to do it due to the wallabies. It's ridiculous, 3 acres, and I've got a tiny patch to put things that they don't eat. This is just that area where the raised beds are. Elderberry, pomegranate. Interesting, the pomegranate in the pollinator patches got flowers. That's in a small pot. This one doesn't have any. Again, I've put snapdragons from seed leftovers down here, just to see, rather than waste them. Sedum autumn joy again, and again this is the bay tree surrounded by, I don't think you can see much here, the sun. Anyway, but quite pleasant, and the day is now lovely and more like the autumn that I really enjoy. Autumn is definitely my favourite time of year, but we did have a couple of very cold days and windy days, so I'm glad that's all over. So that's the pollinator patch, early autumn.